Welcome to Double Drivel, an NBA podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of Double Drivel. We are a weekly podcast offering a fan's perspective on the news and issues surrounding the NBA. Thank you for joining us. My name is Greg and I am joined as always by my co-host JT. You can find us on Twitter at Double Dribblers or email us at doubledrivelpodcast@gmail.com. JT, what up, my friend?
Hey, Greg, not much. Things are good. Getting ready for the playoffs. They're starting to take shape, and it's that time of the year, so I'm good.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams in the East that are bunched up in the 3 to 7 range, so it should be very exciting up to the end. So we got a good show today. We have the Raptors who beat the Rockets last night. We'll get into that. Chris Bosh trying to make a comeback, but we're going to start with something near and dear to your heart, and that is Donovan gonna win Mitchell. I can't even, you put these notes down and I can't even read this stuff with a straight face sometime because you're a homer for the Jazz, and it comes through even with the notes that you write and how everything's filled in and how you talk about them. So what are we talking about Donovan Mitchell today for, since we just talked about him winning the dunk contest?
Listen, shithead, I'm in charge of the nicknames and you just read the shit I write. You got it?
That's how it goes here. If you don't like it, leave.
So, because he made history, and that's not something that happens too often in Utah, so we're going to celebrate it, okay?
Oh, Donovan, please, tell me what historic accomplishment we're going to be focusing on today.
The fastest rookie in NBA history to score 153 pointers. The fastest ever. He did it in a lot of
qualifiers there.
Fuck you. He did it in 63 games. The previous record was 68 games, so he bested it by 5. And the guy whose record he beat was Dame Lillard, who is an incredible basketball player. And to be in that same company is a huge achievement. Hats off to Donovan Mitchell. By now, we should all be on the same page. He is the greatest basketball player to ever play the game.
Do you think he's a lock for Rookie of the Year?
What the fuck do you think I think? Of course he's a lock for Rookie of the Year.
How's he doing leading the team? Where are they in the standings right now?
You're such a shit. Okay, so last night for a hot minute, the Jazz were 8th seed, which is, the last team to get the playoff spot.
I hate to focus on numbers, seeds and, I hate to get caught up in details.
After a few other games finished up, the Jazz slid back out of that 8th seed, but the whole Northwest Division, Northbest Division, is terribly, terribly close. The Jazz are certainly going to make the playoffs. They've won 17 of their last 19 games, including 10 road wins in a row, the second longest streak in franchise history. Suck it.
Wow. So you just guaranteed a playoff appearance, though.
Guaranteed, and no one wants to see the Jazz in the first round. No one. Terrible matchup for anyone. The defense is just suffocating fools. It's looking like the championship is within grasp, but we're going to see.
Wow. That is quite an optimistic view from Salt Lake City.
Yep. Feeling good. Wow. Riding the wave.
Well, good. So, a little hope there in Utah, so enjoy it. But I think we're going to move on. Chris Bosh, all over the news. So I saw the first story that I saw said Chris Bosh talking about making a comeback, and he's been doing a lot of interviews this week. He's been kind of all over the place and people talking about him. So what do you think the chances are? We'll just get this right off the bat. What's the chances of him actually making a comeback?
Oh man, this one's a little tricky, don't you think, Greg? I mean, before I answer your question, I want to just retrace what he's been going through. So the guy 2 years ago He's sidelined for a series of life-threatening blood clots in his calf. And I didn't even like. I must have not remembered this part of my medical training, but I didn't realize you could fucking die from a blood clot in your calf. But
I think a blood clot anywhere. I don't think they're good.
Anywhere?
Because there's major arteries and shit that go through your legs.
What if I get one of my fingers?
Having blood clots. Well, I don't think it would be good.
Am I gonna die?
Maybe that wouldn't kill you. I doubt it.
Will I
fine.
ever
How
die?
about not because of a blood clot, we hope. But if it's in a major vein, and there's a lot of things that go through your legs and your arms and shit. So I would imagine, there's multiple spots you can get one that would kill you in your arms or your legs. Yeah. Again, complete speculation. Our medical degrees, we didn't keep up with them, but,
All right, no joke. I seriously tried to figure this out a little bit last night, like on the Google with the it's like a distal vein, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is a distal vein? Yo, the most confusing fucking shit. If you're a doctor, you're smart, because this shit's not easy to figure out on your own.
A little more respect now when you go for a cough, huh?
Yo, it's all in fucking Greek. All this shit, like all these things, they're not in English. Anyway, so the Heat, they released him, because that's what makes sense. You can't have a high profile basketball player playing in athletic competition running the risk of dropping dead.
Huge contract. Got to take flights. Got to do all sorts of things that are not good for blood clots.
The flights, man, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that shit. All the travel,
right?
And the altitude variation.
And even just in the bus seats. I mean, they say you can get those blood clots from just being crammed into a seat that's too small and sitting uncomfortably for a long time.
Sounds like you did some research on this, which is not usually something you do.
It's not really my forte, but I remember all this when it actually went down.
Oh, I see. All right. So that was 2 years ago, and then Bosh is back, and he did the Bill Simmons podcast. He's been making the rounds. He says that, this is a quote, "I'm going to give playing one more shot. That's all it is a shot. I'm at a space in my life where I see gifts I've been given, and if it ends, it's been a hell of a ride. I did more than I'd ever think I'd do," end quote. But he also says that a few guys have reached out to him about returning to play, but he gave no specifics as to position or association of those guys.
It was LeBron earlier in the season when he was building his old man team.
I don't think that's what it was.
Oh.
So, Greg, I mean, there's no NBA team that's going to sign Chris Bosh. I mean, do we agree on that?
No, I don't know. I mean, if he's cleared by a doctor, I mean, what are you going to do? He was on those Xarelto commercials, remember? Which is the medicine for his ailment. Mm-hmm. And I remember when Arnold Palmer died, who was also on those commercials. I remember thinking, I guess that medicine didn't work out. And I don't know. It just, I didn't even realize that Chris Bosh was even thinking of attempting a comeback or what was even going to ever happen. I stopped really thinking about Chris Bosh. So this kind of came out of left field for me, and I don't know if I was a GM, if I would want a guy that was out of the league this long, a guy that was, like you said, all the risks that are associated with him, and a guy that's, it's on the old side now. So, he might be good for a couple games, but as you were just saying, once you get the travel on him, once you do everything else, it's not going to be the Chris Bosh that we all remember. So he should probably just go down and just, unfortunately, give up the dream, I would think. And he's a great talker. He should go and do some sort of show or do something. Because, he was a smart guy. You listen to him talk. He's great. So
very well spoken.
Yes, you can still be associated with basketball and should definitely do that, I would say. But that's easy for me to say because that's not my dream to go play in the NBA anymore. I gave up that dream. Now he must too.
Yeah. You can't help but feel for the guy in the way that you can tell he's got the itch, and you can tell that it's kind of set in the the reality of the situation to him. I mean, you read through the transcript, or if you listen to the podcast that he did with Bill Simmons, he goes into detail about the recovery process, and it's a great interview. You should check it out. But what I'm, and bear with me here for a second. Now, in the 1990s, we had Magic Johnson, who contracted HIV while he was playing in the NBA. It was, and this is also the same time that he was playing for the Dream Team, the original Dream Team that we both remember so well.
Had the poster on my wall.
There was a lot of ethical discussion about his playing and what that meant to his safety as well as the safety of other players.
Yep.
How does this? There's a few things that are similar, and there's some things that are very, very different, of course. But we are juggling kind of the same balls of ethics and morality involved with health and professional sports, and specifically basketball. How do these two cases compare, Greg? I mean, is there anything that we can learn from Magic Johnson's situation that we can apply it to Chris Bosh here?
No, I just think that they let Magic play for. I just remember, I'll never forget watching that All-Star game where he played and he just lit it up, and it was just incredible. And he never came back and was the same Magic. So I think that it's the same in that it's the team worried about the risk that they're taking on. It's a lot of money, even on a minimum contract or whatever they would pay him. It's a lot of money to put out there to have something terrible happen. And the doctors are putting themselves out there if they say it's okay for him to play. So I don't know. I think it's just, like you said, it's incredibly risky. And these are not people that like risk, especially when you're, like I said, you're dealing with that kind of money. You become a little more risk adverse. And if there's young, healthy guys that you're going to be able to draft, why take your chances with Bosh?
Yeah. These players are vetted extensively on their medical condition. Anytime a player is traded, that trade is not complete until the receiving team's medical team does a full evaluation of that player. These are billion-dollar industries.
And something that just came to my mind is that the teams, yes, they're taking on this risk, but think about it. They're not even looking to take him on as just a bench guy. And we're not even talking about him playing every night or not. There's teams aren't even willing to have him as a presence on the bench because he is such a smart guy, because he does have all this knowledge that he can bring to your organization. They're not even bringing him on to just sit on the end of the bench and just drop knowledge. So it's got to be a risk. I mean, there's nothing else that it says is that the teams just don't want to take the risk. Yeah.
It doesn't make things easier that, as far as transparency goes, medical records are confidential, of course, as they should be. We just don't know exactly the severity of Chris Bosh's situation, other than what he's told us. Not to say that he's keeping anything, but this is a sticky situation. I think it's very unlikely that a team or its medical staff or the league would be willing to put themselves in such a situation. But Chris Bosh, I really do hope he finds a good role. There are roles for guys like him. We just want him to stay healthy, and we don't want anything ugly to happen.
Not at all. So, yeah, keep it real, Bosh, and take care of yourself. Don't worry about the NBA. So the team that Chris Bosh used to play for before the Heat was the Toronto Raptors, and they're doing quite well this season. They are in first place in the East, and they went up against the, what you have noted, soon-to-be NBA champion Houston Rockets. We'll get to that, I guess, later, because that's something I would like to contest. The Rockets last night were on a 17-game winning streak, and they hadn't lost in 42 days. That's a great stat. I love that. And came down to a great game last night, but the Raptors pulled it out. What do you think? The Raptors, man, looking good.
Raptors are looking good. I am a Raptors fan. I love the backcourt of DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. They were the first team this year to clinch a playoff berth. So congratulations to them. I want to talk about the final play. Did you see it?
I did not see the final play.
Final play. Rockets are down by 3. They have the ball. Baseline inbound play. You know who sits baseline at all these Raptors games, Greg?
Your boy Drake.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Drake is there.
It was Drake night.
It was Drake night. He had these T-shirts made. Everyone got a T-shirt.
Yep.
So Trevor Ariza is the inbounder, and he got 5 seconds to toss the ball in, and it's taking place right in front of Drake. Drake stands up right behind Trevor Ariza, and he's practically like touching him. And I'm not like exaggerating. He is, I'd say, 1 inch from the back of Trevor Ariza's head. And he's like talking to him the whole time while he's whispering. Now, you pay for your seat. I don't know if Drake pays for a seat, to be honest with you. You pay to get close, and you're a little closer to the action. That's great. You can get involved a little bit. If I did that shit, they're throwing me out of there, right? Like, no one's letting me whisper sweet nothings into an NBA basketball player's ear while he's inbounding a play on the final play of a big game. But
there's a certain level of celebrity that allows you to do such things.
But what other celebrities are doing that? You don't see them getting that close. I mean, you see some of them like flapping gums sometime, but rarely do you see them stand up and get like in the guy's fucking ear. Like, are you allowed to do that? I don't know. It felt a little off to me. I'm surprised the refs let him get that close. It just seemed like that's almost like he's infringing on the action. But turns out whatever he said must have worked. Defense was solid. Harden got up a buzzer beating 3, just total air ball, and the Raptors won.
And that's why you become a celebrity right there. So you can have the night at your team. I mean, somebody said to me, and it made me laugh just this past week, I heard that Drake might be the most popular Toronto Raptor of all time. And, that says a lot for the Raptors. But there's another thing that gets lost in all this because you don't hear about the Raptors. I didn't even realize that they were in first place, and I pay a good bit of attention to the NBA. It just didn't even occur to me. But they don't get pushed in America at all. And they really are not even wanted in the finals, from what I understand, because their ratings don't account for anything. You have one team that would be in the finals that would mean nothing for ratings. And that's the same problem that the Canadian baseball teams have. And it's just something that, just rears its head every time one of these teams becomes successful and they're working their way either through the playoffs or to a championship or whatever. You always hear, oh, dear God, this is going to be horrible for ratings. So I don't know why they don't get pushed. Maybe because they are, in Canada and we don't, they're just not local, so you don't hear anything about them. But I feel like you should hear more about this team because they're great. They got a great bench. Like you said, DeRozan is great. And,
Lowry.
And Lowry. Lowry's okay. I don't like Lowry as much. I like DeMar DeRozan. Don't care for Lowry.
Lowry's nasty.
He's
I love
all right.
him. I love the little bromance they have.
It's very cute. I like that they get along, though. That makes me happy because I don't like hearing, like in the Wizards, how Beal and Wall don't get along. That doesn't make me happy. I don't like that my backcourt not getting along. That wouldn't make me happy at all.
I love them two together. I love when they celebrate for each other, and it seems really genuine, which makes them such a great team. And I don't give a fuck about the ratings. If a small market team has the record, they win the games, they belong in the finals. I don't give a fuck about the ratings. And if you don't like watching DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry play basketball together, you go kick rocks.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it's a matter of no one liking it. I just don't think it literally does not count in the ratings. So even a game that is rating much higher than it is comes only, with half of the pie. So it's a dirty detail that only really the TV networks have to give a shit about, but it is something to hear about. And they're paying a lot of money to carry these games.
Because it's Canadian television and those those views don't count towards our shit. Is that what's happening?
Yep. Yeah, the advertisers, it doesn't count.
Huh. It's a good little tidbit there, Greg.
You like that, huh?
You know what else
That's
I like?
two things. That's two little bits of knowledge that I brought this week that I never bring and got no knowledge usually.
Yeah, I mean, you're on one this week. It's great.
There you go. Wise ass.
All right. We got this new thing, Greg.
Yes, please.
We've been talking about it, and we're going to roll it out. It's a new segment, and we're going to call it the NBA Flashback.
And now let's take a trip back in time, and we can relive a classic basketball moment in the new segment we're calling NBA Flashback. All right, JT, what day are we going back to, and what happened?
Well, on this day in 1997, Greg, March 10th, the mailman.
Great year. Great year.
Great year. Great year.
One of the best.
Okay. Karl Malone, the mailman of the Utah Jazz, became the fifth player in NBA history to join a very, very exclusive club, Greg. 25,000 points and 10,000 rebounds took place in a 115-106 victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Which wasn't really an accomplishment at that point in time. If you remember, the Timberwolves were really bad in 97.
Joining the fucking 25,000 point club is an accomplishment, though, and 10,000 rebounds. Shithead.
Yes, and I'm actually shocked that it's a Utah Jazz related bit of news that happened on this date. I just think that that's shocking that just happened to be on March 10th.
Books, Greg. I look up the date and it has things to choose from. I can't help that the history books are covered in Utah Jazz accomplishments.
Well, the mailman delivered our first flashback. But
wait,
yeah, please.
Real quick. While we're here,
I was just gonna say,
I want you to tell me your favorite Karl Malone quote.
This is one that you shared with me at one point, and it was from a invitation to a party that he was having at his house.
A birthday party.
Even better, a birthday party at Karl Malone's house, and on the invitation it said, "Wear something you don't mind getting blood on." And that is still one of the greatest lines ever.
Legend.
I mean, there's so many ways that you could, take that, but on a birthday card, just the greatest. Karl Malone didn't mess around. He's a tough guy.
Still is. He's been popping up doing some it seems like he's having a little bit of a resurgence as far as showing up on social media, which wasn't something he was doing before. And he did that skit with Anthony Davis. I don't know if you saw it, where he was disguised as a janitor. Do you see that?
Yeah, I saw it.
It's great. It's great comedy.
That was just award-winning. Oh, speaking of which, I guess we should probably mention that Kobe Bryant won that Emmy. But, I mean, I'm going to go on record right here. I feel like it was rigged. They wanted him to win. They wanted the big name up there. Because that cartoon, come on. Did you enjoy that? Did you watch that thing that he won for?
No, I haven't seen it. Tell me about it.
It's not good. Whatever. You just watch it on your own. I'm not going to sit here and describe it to you. It's not good. It's just not good. I'm not taking my time on this. It didn't even make its own segment. So there's a reason. I don't care much for it. And
all right.
There's people that worked their entire life that were in that category. There's people that put, I'm sure, a lot more than he put into that video. And that's all I'm going to say. So whatever, Kobe.
Damn.
Yeah. Hot take. How about that? All right. It's that time. Time for predictions. All right. We're going to go back to the first segment here because I don't think we really picked one way or another definitively. Will Chris Bosh ever play another NBA game? JT, what do you say?
As a player, no.
I agree. So that makes it pretty... I wish I could argue with you.
Well, that settles that.
Yep, that settles that pretty much. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think any team's taking the chance. He will do something basketball related, though. I'm going to say that.
Yeah. And as we poke fun at a very kind of sensitive subject, want to reiterate, no disrespect to Chris Bosh, his situation, or the people in his family that are involved with this situation. Just something to talk about.
Yeah, no, that's fine. There's people that are making money off him doing this. I'm not making any money off this, so.
You don't
feel
make
like I
any
can
money,
say-
dude. I'm getting paid for this shit. Yo,
I can, I can make some comments about a guy, I don't think that, he's got any right to tell me whether I can't pontificate about his blood clotting or not. And I can't go and take my fake medical degree and completely speculate on what's going to happen to him or what has happened to him. So that's my right.
absolutely.
All right. Well, I think it's about that time, JT. Another great episode.
Yeah, I like the flashback. Look forward to doing it again. Nice talking to you as always. You fuck.
We will be back next week with another episode. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter at Double Dribblers. You can email us at doubledrivelpodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe to the show on iTunes, Podbean, Google Play, and now YouTube. And until next week, we'll see you on the internet.